Okay, welcome everybody to today's live session. It is the, what are we now? 13th of May 2024. So it's 1:32 p.m. UK time currently. So we're going to begin today's live session by starting with the dollar index, the DXY. So if we just go to the weekly a moment, just to recap where we are and what we did last week. So last week closed a bullish candle, we see that. But it was actually an inside bar to the previous week, which is basically a consolidation because price hasn't done anything as such. Now, I still do believe that price can come down into here. We've got an 8-hour imbalance right there. But not only that, we haven't achieved a discount from this low to the high. So I would like to see that pull back lower before we do anything. If we do decide to continue down, we do have that weekly imbalance right there with liquidity resting just above, which is quite nice, to be honest. However, if this bullish structure is true bullish structure, then technically speaking, that low shouldn't be taken, although it still could be taken with a wick. But ultimately, we could see higher prices if this is to remain true because we broke structure there. If we remember, we spoke about this last week and previous weeks. Broken that structure, we've achieved discount, and now this is internal minor structure within major structure. Okay, so going down into the daily, we can see that we've got a daily demand at the low, which interestingly enough actually took out liquidity before breaking that high there. So this could be a valuable area at which price could want to come into. And then the 8-hour area is right below. So again, if we do get a wick through that daily area, it could just be mitigating this 8-hour imbalance potentially. Okay, and you can see the area which we drew on together last week, this 4-hour supply has acted fairly nicely, to be honest, because we've come down. That's where we broke the 4-hour structure. That's what that line represents. We broke 4-hour structure, we come into premium, and now hopefully we can get to take out that low as well to then come into discount of this larger leg. Okay, so that's the DXY. That's what I'm expecting. Let's just look at the calendar, the news calendar. Let me just refresh this just to see what we've got this week coming up in terms of news. So Monday, nothing really has happened. So we had the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. Tomorrow we've got pound news, 7 a.m. Then 1:30 p.m. US news, so core PPI. Okay, and Fed Chair Powell speaks at 3 p.m. That should be interesting. And obviously, heavy news Wednesday as well, and even Thursday. So it's going to be an interesting week by the looks of it. So with all of this in mind, is that now going to, align the technicals up to where they should be or could be? Okay, that's my thought process on that. So let's move on. Let's move on to euro dollar. Which chart do we want? This one. So euro dollar. Just take this off the daily a moment. We've achieved premium prices. Okay, but similar to the DXY, we actually have a daily area which took liquidity before breaking structure or continuing the structure. So we could actually be magnetized into here. Would not be surprised if that was the case, and then we might see a reaction from there. Going down into the 4-hour, you can see I had that 4-hour imbalance marked on right there, but it did have a reaction, but it's looking like price wants to continue up because price came into a discount, as you can see, following the 4-hour structure with these red dots, made that high, came into a discount, and it's looking like we are going to make another high right there. You can see last week I did have that area marked on. I also had that 4-hour imbalance marked on as well. So it's looking like we've just reacted from that one there rather than this one, which is fine. And yeah, you can see that a bit more clearer on the 4-hour, that sweep of liquidity and then breaking lows. So this area, in my opinion, does have value to it. So that comes in at 1.08478. You you just round it up to 8,500, around that area. Okay, really nice, really nice. Again, just following structure. Euro dollar does like to follow structure fairly well. So once this bullish structure started to form at the lows, and as we were coming out of this daily imbalance, I did say to myself, as well as the live streams, as well as on the live streams, that we could be in for a deeper pullback, and we've done just that. Okay, so this is again is technically internal structure to this major or daily structure, which is bearish. Okay, and if we remember as well, we've got a monthly imbalance to the low with liquidity resting above. Okay, liquidity resting above. So let's see what we do. Even on the weekly, we've started to trickle down. Look at that strong weekly candle close. Okay, opened on the 8th of April. Closed down there. Look at how many candles it's took, or how many weeks it's taken for price to just keep its head above water. I do think we're going to sink lower, just based on that, based on the structure. I really, really do. So having said that, if we do start to switch bullish, then of course these highs are going to be taken, and then we're going to get a candle closure above, at which point I'll be looking for buys. But at the moment, I am bearish on this. I really am. It also aligns with the dollar as well, with what we've just spoken about. Okay, so let's move on to pound yen. So pound yen is being magnetized back up into this daily imbalance, as we spoke about last week. Okay, as we spoke about last week, and also the fact that the daily is still bullish. Yes, we're coming out of these higher time frame areas, which haven't been reached since, I believe it was 08, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, September 08. We've took that major high there, so we've took out external range liquidity, whatever label you want to put on that, but we've took that high out that was printed in 2015. We've then reached that, come into this monthly imbalance, which had a weekly imbalance resting inside it, and then we had that sharp, aggressive move downwards, or those moves downwards. But as we said, the daily is still bullish at the moment. Okay, this is going to be an interesting area, I think, because like I said, it's a daily imbalance. It's coming out of this higher time frame area, these higher time frame areas, and it's that push to the downside, that volatility, that strength, that aggressiveness. And look at the candles themselves. Look at that. So 1 candle, 2 candles, 3 candles to the downside. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles to basically reach there. We've not even reached it just yet. We could reach it today. We really, really could. But yeah, I do think we could have a reaction from here. If we're going to continue bullish, I've got my eye on this area right there. As you can see very clearly, daily imbalance. So it's very, very nice. And if you go to the 4 hour, you can see I started to draw my 4 hour structure points, because technically speaking, if we remember from last week, I was speaking about the 4 hour actually did go bearish. It was confirmed bearish structure on the 4 hour, but it conflicted with the daily, and we always need to go with the higher time frame without question. You can see I've got my eye emojis on here because, like I said, these are the areas that I'm looking at, or that I'm most interested in for this pair going forward. Other than that, there's no need to start going down into the 1 hour 30 minute. There's no need to do that, because I've got my higher time frame areas on there, and I know what I need to look for and why. Okay, and not only that, that daily imbalance would also be within a premium of that leg to the downside. But I am very cautious based on the fact that the daily is still bullish. However, as I've just said, the 4 hour is or has confirmed bearish just by that tiny candle body closure at the low. If it hadn't have done that, then I'd be very skeptical as to what to expect. But it's the fact that we made that high, the low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and like I said, we had a candle body closure below that wick. It was very subtle, but it's still there. Okay, so yeah, what do we do from here? We'll have to see. Look at the lower time frames to confirm that. If and when we do reach there, which I do believe we will. Let's move on. So GBP USD. Let's have a look what chart we need. I just like to have a few charts open because sometimes the price action can vary depending on the feed that you're getting the information from. So let's use this one then. So FXCM, it's looking like we are just completely demolishing through this daily imbalance. So I'm going to get rid of that because there's no need to have that on there, in my opinion, at the moment. So similar to EU in terms of what we're actually doing, we've come into premium prices. Before I actually get into that, let's go to the higher time frame to begin with. We are within a monthly imbalance. That's something to keep in mind. On the weekly, this is an area that I'm interested in. Weekly imbalance. Simple. What do we have above that? We have liquidity. Again, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, but it still remains possible for this pair. We've got trend line liquidity there as well. Just take it up to there. Trend line liquidity. On the daily, bearish structure. We made the high, the low, came into premium. Just double check that we did. Actually, no, we didn't. 4 hour. 4 hours definitely coming to premium. Yeah, so from that high down into the low, coming to premium. What I don't like about this, for the short side of things, is the fact that this low merely wicked that. Okay, just merely wicked it. So whether or not we're going to come into higher prices, and it's similar to euro dollar in that respect as well, because we've got a daily supply right there, this one, that took out liquidity before breaking new lows. Took out that liquidity before breaking new lows. We've also now got that high resting just below that. So is price now going to target that? There is a strong possibility of that, in my opinion, because that also aligns with the DXY. So if you remember on the DXY, it's looking like we are going to continue down into discount. Well, if that was the case, then this would obviously go up because the pound would gain value against the dollar. So on the 4 hour, again, from a bearish standpoint, that's just a wick liquidity grab before we could potentially even break that high now. Look at the aggressiveness as well coming out of there. Really, really nice. Okay. Just had a request in the chat to go over BTC and US 30. Let's go over US 30 to begin with. Okay, so I've got a fresh chart on right here. Just going to add this to the watch list. Cool. Okay, so US 30, 12 month, obviously we're bullish. 3 month. 3 month we're bullish. We're bullish on most time frames, to be honest, but I'm just trying to navigate the imbalances. Three-month imbalance. Okay. Monthly. Strong push to the upside by the looks of it. Really, really strong. Coming out of these lows. With that monthly area right there. And the nice thing about that is you notice how price came into this monthly imbalance, and then look at this candle closure. It didn't close below the imbalance, it closed within the imbalance. So that to me says this was respected, or this had some sort of value within it. And it's looking like that is why price went to the upside, because we've reacted from this. Down into the monthly, we have, or weekly, sorry, we've created that. Weekly area. We're currently testing highs now, highest highs of all time. I'm just going to zoom out and see what we've done in the past when we've done something similar. So right there, you can see we made a highest high of all time. Price pulled back down for 2 weeks. This was 3 weeks. Price came back up within 2 weeks, just wicked the high and then melted. I'm not saying that will happen, but it's important to look at previous price data. Similar thing there, we made a highest high of all time. Price comes back down for 3 or 4 weeks, makes a new high, just wicks it. Again, paying attention to the candle closures, very, very important information. Look at that, we just wicked the high there and melted. So if we're going to determine whether this is going to continue up, we would want a candle body closure above that high on a weekly perspective, just looking at this previous data. And then from a daily standpoint, we could look at highs again. You can see that we just wicked above that high and came down. Kind of similar there as well. You can look at, just look at these rejections. Okay. That's pretty much it, to be honest, for US 30. In terms of buying, like I say, I'd want to see that area, the weekly imbalance. And daily, that would also align with a discount of that leg. Let's just assume that is the high. Comes in a discount there. One thing we are inside of right now, which what I can see is that daily imbalance. Let price, let the market load. Daily imbalance right there. We could see a reaction from here. Whether we're going to put, another low in, I doubt it, because we're coming out of the monthly area. This could just be a catalyst for a pullback to then come into there potentially. Because you imagine how many people are seeing this and now going to buy, when in actual fact we've just run into that. So there is a chance that we could have a reaction from there, then come into there before going up. That's just my take on US 30. I hope that helps. Sabas in the chat. Let's go over BTC. Okay, so from a 12-month perspective, you can see I've got some drawings on here. Let's just go get a fresh chart. Actually, let's talk about this. So all I've done on here, I've just marked on the previous halvings with the blue lines and then identified what's happened after that. And something interesting I've seen actually on this is, so you see these green areas. Now this isn't an exact science. I'm no crypto expert, but this is just something I've seen that's happened for 4, 8, 12 years. Okay. So the last 3 cycles pretty much is the fact that we've come into this specific area. So basically what this is, it's 78.6 to 85% retracement, and I've just highlighted that in green on each of them, and you can see prices come back there every time it makes a high, comes back into there, made the high, came back into the zone. I've just drawn it on from where we made the low to the actual high. Obviously this could go higher, at which point this would then change. But as it stands, that's the high. And if and when we do continue to go up, then I'm going to draw that Fibonacci. I'm going to basically follow it. upwards, you know, when the highs or another high gets printed, or if it gets printed. Okay, so as it stands, that is actually 28k to 30k, which is not impossible. It really isn't. But again, I'm no crypto expert. That's just going off of technical analysis. Let me go over another chart, fresh chart. Okay. So from a monthly standpoint, clear as day, what we're coming out of there is a monthly imbalance. Okay. Hopefully we can see some movement to the upside out of this. Another thing what I do like about this monthly time frame on BTC is the fact that we closed above this high in March. So March's close was above this high, which obviously gives us an indication that the momentum is to the upside, because if it wasn't, it'd just be a wick and then we'd close below. Obviously, it's not 100% certainty that yes, because we closed above, we're definitely going to go up. Obviously, we know that's not the case. All it is an indication that we could continue up. Okay, and that goes with any market, not just BTC. We all know that it's probabilities. So that's my thoughts on this. Quite corrective pullback. You can see there how many weeks it took to pull it back down into there versus how many weeks it took to pump price up. You know, it's actually looking similar to that, actually. Surge to the upside, pull back, and away we go. So yeah, we could actually go higher, because like I say, it's just looking like that. Again, nothing's a guarantee. It's always good to look at previous price data, but that's, again, nothing to say that that was just a fluke or anything like that. We can only just go off of what's happened in the past, and that does look similar to that. So, you know, based on that, we could go up, and coming out of that monthly imbalance. So, and not only that, we've just had the halving, so it does make sense. But yeah, that pretty much wraps this live up. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for those that tuned in. I can see there's a fair few watching today, which is great to see. Once again, thank you, and we will catch up in the next live. It's going to be 3:30 p.m. UK time. So what's that? Hour, 2.5 hours away from now, pretty much. So yeah, until then, trade safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.